Imagine a royal showdown so intense it echoes through Buckingham Palace. Prince William, driven by his wife, Catherine, makes a shocking royal decree stripping Camilla of her title. What led to this explosive moment? The story, as whispered behind palace walls and now storming across the internet, begins not with public announcements or regal ceremonies, but in hushed tones and trembling emotion. The monarchy, for all its carefully polished façade, is still run by flesh-and-blood individuals, capable of jealousy, fury, and heartbreak. On one side stands Camilla, the woman who has fought for decades to earn her place beside King Charles, finally crowned Queen Consort. On the other, Catherine, the beloved Princess of Wales, now standing tall amid public sympathy and personal battle. And in between them stands William, future king, devoted son, protective husband. Reports began to swirl, not in official briefings, but through cryptic headlines and emotional fanfare, that Catherine had pleaded with her husband to act, that her pain had reached a point where silence was no longer an option. And William, pushed beyond diplomacy, had finally made a choice that would send shockwaves through royal tradition. The claim that he revoked Camilla's royal title in a bid to honor his wife's request and defend her dignity. This isn't the first time the British monarchy has been swept by controversy, but something about this story felt different. More personal, more immediate, more final. Could William really have challenged centuries of hierarchy to protect the woman he loves? Could Catherine's emotional appeal carry enough weight to reshape royal structure? And if this moment is indeed real, what hidden history, what lingering resentment must have built up behind palace doors to lead to such a public fracture? These are not idle questions. They cut deep into the heart of the royal machine. Because when a future king moves to strip someone of their royal identity, it's not just a personal act, it's a declaration, a shift. A warning to all who've watched the firm from afar, thinking nothing ever changes unless it's ordained by the crown itself. But this was different. And it's why the world is now watching with bated breath, because in the British monarchy, nothing is ever done without purpose. Every whisper, every decision, every tear, and every title carries the weight of legacy. To separate fact from fiction, let's start with the rumors making headlines. In the past month, headlines like "William strips Camilla's title" have flooded YouTube and Facebook. But where's the truth? At first glance, these viral claims seem almost too dramatic to be true, yet the algorithm doesn't care about authenticity. It feeds on outrage, conflict, and emotional bait. As the world scrolls endlessly, video after video appears, each one more sensational than the last. Camilla banned from Buckingham Palace. Catherine's breakdown leads to royal fallout, and Prince William's secret decision changes everything. These headlines are designed to stop the thumb, ignite a reaction, and plant doubt. And for many, they succeed. But who's really behind them? A closer look reveals that most of these videos originate not from seasoned royal correspondents or verified journalists, but from independent creators' channels with names that hint at authority yet thrive off unverified whispers. They publish 3, sometimes 5 videos a day. The thumbnails are emotional. The titles are explosive. The content, rarely grounded in verifiable fact. These aren't investigative reports. They're emotional narratives designed to feel like truth. Worse, still, these creators rarely cite sources. Instead, they rely on anonymous insiders, blurry paparazzi footage, or recycled tabloid claims that were debunked years ago. And yet, the cycle continues. Viewers, many emotionally invested in the royals, are drawn in by the perceived drama. The idea of Catherine crying behind closed doors, of Camilla being publicly humiliated, of William finally standing up for his wife. It's the perfect storm of power, pain, and payback. But again, where is the evidence? Mainstream media coverage tells a different story. Outlets like BBC, The Times, and Reuters make no mention of any title revocation. No palace source has confirmed anything remotely close to what's being suggested online. And yet, the lack of confirmation doesn't stop the videos from thriving in ambiguity. In fact, the absence of real news gives them more room to speculate, twist, and fabricate. It's not just a matter of misunderstanding, it's the monetization of misinformation. And there's a dangerous pattern forming. These rumors don't live in isolation. They feed each other, amplifying one another across platforms. What begins as a fringe upload quickly finds its way to TikTok Reels, Facebook reposts, Reddit discussions, and even WhatsApp groups. Before long, people start quoting these stories as if they were undeniable facts. And the worst part? The line between what's true and what's algorithmically successful begins to blur entirely. Behind it all is a subtle but powerful strategy. Tap into pre-existing emotional narratives. Catherine as the graceful victim, Camilla as the cold intruder, William as the silent prince finally awakened, and then fan the flames. These aren't just rumors. They're digital theater productions designed to fuel engagement, stir drama, and deliver clicks. And the result? A public conversation hijacked by fantasy disguised as fact. But behind the noise, beyond the shadows of manipulated media, lies a quieter, more verifiable truth. One that demands we pull back the curtain and examine not just what's being said, but who is saying it, and why. But beyond rumors, what is Camilla's actual status in the monarchy? Let's look at records. What titles does Camilla legally hold, and can William even strip them? The answer isn't buried in whispers or speculation, but in the very foundation of royal law and protocol. Camilla's official title, as of the coronation of King Charles III, is Queen Consort, a position defined not by ambition or popularity, but by law, history, and lineage. This title, unlike those held by working royals such as the Duke or Duchess, is not a courtesy granted by the monarch's goodwill. It is bestowed by virtue of marriage to the reigning sovereign. The moment Charles ascended the throne, Camilla's elevation was automatic. No fanfare needed, no paperwork signed. Her title became entwined with the crown itself. But here's where the tension sharpens. Queen Consort is a distinctly different role from Queen Regnant. A Queen Regnant, like Elizabeth II, reigns in her own right. A Queen Consort, like Camilla, holds her title solely through her relationship with the monarch. She has no constitutional power, no personal right to rule, but her place in the royal Eider order is deeply symbolic and fiercely protected. And therein lies the catch. Prince William, no matter how beloved or future-bound he is, holds no authority to revoke her title. Titles within the monarchy are not subject to personal emotions or private disagreements. They are governed by centuries of legal precedent and upheld by the crown's constitutional powers. In this system, only the reigning monarch or parliament holds the right to alter or revoke official royal titles. Not even the heir to the throne, no matter how vocal or invested he may be in internal family matters, can unilaterally take that step. William may be the face of modern royalty. He may lead public opinion, carry the legacy of Diana, and draw crowds around the world. But the one thing he does not carry yet is the authority of the crown. Historically, there are almost no instances where a royal title of this magnitude has been stripped without a scandal of epic proportions or direct parliamentary involvement. Even King Edward V's abdication required an act of parliament. When titles have been revoked, such as Prince Andrew's removal from public duties and the loss of his HRH styling, it was done through formal internal and public processes. And even then, the full legal title often remained intact. Camilla's case bears no such precedent. And yet, the rumors persist. Because in the world of royal intrigue, facts are often overshadowed by feeling. But even feelings cannot override Camilla's current role on the international stage. As recently as this year, she has represented the United Kingdom in high-level diplomatic functions, standing side by side with King Charles in state visits, charitable events, and ceremonial responsibilities. Her name appears on royal programs, her presence is acknowledged in official addresses, and her seat, both figurative and literal, is beside the monarch. No red flags, no disruptions, no hint of a silent revocation. What these details tell us is clear. Camilla remains Queen Consort in every legal and ceremonial sense. The monarchy is not moved by trending hashtags or backroom rumors. It moves with deliberation, law, and tradition. And if there had been even a whisper within legitimate circles of her being stripped of her title, it would have triggered ripples across the British government, the Commonwealth, and global media. Yet, There is nothing. Silence from the palace. Continued protocol from the throne, and ongoing confirmation of Camilla's royal standing with each engagement she fulfills. So, if no legal action has been taken, no announcement made, and no precedent broken, what then sparked this swirling narrative? Where did the whispers of Catherine's emotional plea even begin? With the rules clear, what about Catherine's alleged involvement? Every juicy royal rumor needs a catalyst to enter Catherine's emotional plea. But what's real? The narrative that has gripped viewers across social platforms is as dramatic as it is delicate. Catherine, shattered by private tensions, allegedly breaks down in front of Prince William, begging him to take a stand not for the monarchy, but for her. According to the story, it was a moment of vulnerability that shattered royal restraint and ignited a chain reaction that led to Camilla's supposed public humiliation. The emotional weight of such a plea, if true, would carry undeniable power. But as the claims gain speed online, we must ask, did it ever happen? The tale originated from a swarm of short-form videos and headline-grabbing thumbnails, most of which are void of any credible sourcing. The alleged plea is never quoted, never cited from a royal insider with a name, never backed by any concrete timeline. In fact, the entire claim seems to float in a sea of ambiguity. One version claims it happened weeks ago. Another insists it took place behind closed palace doors, just days before a public engagement. Some even suggest it happened in the wake of Catherine's recent health battle, though none provide the who, where, or when that would ground it in reality. These stories are not born from facts. They're built on emotional architecture designed to be felt, not verified. And this is where the illusion gains strength. Because Catherine, known for her poise and discretion, rarely lets the public into her inner world. She is deeply admired for her composure, her quiet strength, her dignified silence, even in the face of speculation. This makes her the perfect vessel for dramatic reinterpretation. People don't know what she says in private, so they imagine it, and for the creators seeking views, that imagined drama becomes currency. Combine that with her current recovery from a serious health issue, and you have a recipe for deeply resonant, highly clickable, emotional storytelling. But when we strip away the dramatics, what remains? No palace communication has ever mentioned such an incident. No courtier, journalist, or reputable royal source has hinted that Catherine intervened in Camilla's affairs, let alone requested something as constitutionally impossible as title removal. What's even more telling is the royal family's long-established pattern. They don't air private conflicts. When rifts happen, they happen behind closed doors, carefully managed, quietly resolved, or quietly buried. Yet the myth continues, because it fits a broader emotional narrative. Catherine, often viewed as the public's favorite, embodies grace under pressure. Camilla, still grappling with public perceptions shaped by the Diana years, is easily cast as the threat. It becomes a cinematic conflict. Modern queen versus traditional queen consort. Public sympathy versus royal entitlement. A wife standing up to protect her place. A husband choosing love over protocol. In this context, even fiction can feel true. And psychologically, that's the trick. Emotional plea isn't just a phrase, it's a trigger. It invites empathy. It blurs the lines. It plants the seed that something deeply human is unfolding behind regal curtains. That somewhere inside the palace, a woman we admire might have reached her breaking point. But again, admiration does not equal confirmation. And speculation, no matter how poetic, is not evidence. Still, the rumor thrives. It spreads, because it offers us something far more powerful than proof. A feeling we want to believe. So if no proof backs these claims, why do they spread so fast? Royal family rumors are clickbait gold. So why are they so irresistible? The answer lies in a potent combination of emotional manipulation, digital psychology, and a public obsession with scandal. The anatomy of a viral royal headline is no accident. Titles like "William strips Camilla's title after Catherine's breakdown" hit every psychological button at once. There's urgency, there's emotion, there's conflict. It suggests power has shifted behind the scenes, that a beloved figure has finally taken a stand, and that someone else has fallen from grace. Whether or not it's true becomes secondary. The drama itself is the hook. But underneath that catchy title is a far more calculated strategy. Social media algorithms are not built to reward truth. They're designed to reward engagement watch time, likes, comments, and shares. The more outrageous the claim, the more people pause. The more emotionally reactive the content, the more people comment. A creator doesn't need proof, they need eyes. And the quickest way to get them is through scandal wrapped in sentiment. That's why emotional language dominates. Plea, betrayal, stripped, devastated, exposed. These aren't just words, they're weapons in the race for attention. And this is where the real trap unfolds. The public doesn't just consume these stories, they begin to believe in their structure. Catherine becomes the eternal victim. Camilla becomes the opportunistic villain. William becomes the conflicted prince with a sword to swing. These characters are molded into simplified roles, stripped of their real-world complexity, and plugged into a narrative that repeats itself endlessly. Because in the world of clickbait, royalty isn't reality, it's theater. And every good theater needs familiar roles. The effect is compounded by what psychologists call the echo funnel. Once a viewer clicks on a royal scandal video, the algorithm floods them with more of the same. Suddenly, a single rumor morphs into a full-blown universe of fabricated events. New details get added. Old ones are twisted. A fan theory becomes news. It's no longer one video, it's a spiral. The more you watch, the more convinced you become that the whispers are real. And viewers aren't entirely to blame. Human brains are wired for narrative. We seek patterns. We crave resolution. When we're emotionally invested in someone like Catherine, who's viewed by many as a modern Diana, we're more likely to believe stories that align with how we already feel. That's called confirmation bias. We accept the story that feels right, not the one that is right. But all of this raises a sobering question. Where's the line? At what point does storytelling become manipulation? Royal drama has become its own digital economy. Content creators chase trends, stretch truths, and frame speculation as certainty, all for profit. And the more extreme the claim, the faster it spreads. The responsibility to be truthful often gets buried under the urgency to go viral. Still, understanding this game doesn't make it less effective. It just makes it easier to recognize the tools being used. Because once we see the strings behind the puppet show, we begin to ask better questions, not just about the royals, but about how we're being fed their stories. Armed with that context, let's weigh what's likely and what's impossible. Can William legally remove Camilla's royal title? The answer lies in centuries-old laws. To understand the truth behind this explosive claim, we must venture into the intricate architecture of the British constitutional monarchy, a system built not on personal emotions or modern popularity, but on deeply entrenched legal precedent and unshakable protocol. While William may be the future king, beloved by many, and the symbolic face of a new generation, he does not yet wield the scepter of sovereign authority. And in the monarchy, authority matters more than sentiment. The British crown is governed by a strict separation of powers. What the monarch can do, what Parliament can do, and what no one else can do without both. As heir to the throne, William carries immense symbolic power, but it is just that symbolic. Legally, he holds no standing to issue, revoke, or alter the titles of a reigning monarch's spouse. That power rests exclusively with the sovereign, in this case, King Charles III, or with the approval of Parliament or the Privy Council. And this is not conjecture, this is constitutional reality. The royal prerogative is one of the oldest principles of British governance. It means that certain actions like granting or removing royal titles are not William's to decide, no matter how emotionally invested or morally justified he might feel. There is precedence for how royal titles are managed. When Charles became king, it was within his power to grant William the title of Prince of Wales, a title that had to be conferred formally. It was not automatic. That same structure applies in reverse. Titles cannot be undone on a whim. When Prince Andrew faced public disgrace, his royal patronages and use of HRH styling were removed only after intense deliberation and a public announcement from the palace. And even then, the core title, Duke of York, remained. That's how guarded and complex these title dynamics are. There is no room for spontaneous emotional decisions, not even in moments of family crisis. And that brings us to the idea of reversal. If Camilla were to be stripped of her title as Queen Consort, it would trigger a constitutional ripple effect. Such a move would not only shatter centuries of monarchical precedent, but would require direct involvement from senior legal advisors, the Privy Council, and potentially Parliament. Why? Because the title of Queen Consort is not ceremonial, it's institutional. Her presence alongside the king at state visits, official duties, and national addresses is woven into the very image of the crown. Stripping her of that status would be equivalent to rewriting the current chapter of monarchy itself. And the implications wouldn't end at Buckingham Palace. The British monarch is also the head of state in 14 Commonwealth realms, from Canada to Australia. Any change in Camilla's title would have symbolic consequences across those nations, potentially destabilizing public perception and opening the door to political debates about monarchy's role in a modern democracy. It's not just about one woman losing a title. It's about a constitutional earthquake. So while rumors of William acting against Camilla may appeal to those longing for poetic justice, the legal framework simply does not allow it. Not now. Not without the king's blessing. Not without the full force of Parliament behind it. And so far, there's been no movement, no signal, no public debate suggesting such a drastic act is even being considered. With the legal facts laid out, what's the most probable scenario? Putting all evidence together, here's the explanation that fits best. There is no official record, no palace statement, and no credible report confirming that Camilla's royal title has been revoked. None. Not from the monarchy. Not from Parliament. Not even from the tabloids that usually thrive on sensational royal scoops. This isn't a carefully hidden scandal waiting to erupt. It's a narrative built on digital whispers, fan fiction dressed up as breaking news. The so-called event didn't unfold on a balcony or behind velvet curtains. It happened entirely online, fueled by speculation and multiplied by the speed of clicks. Camilla continues to appear at public events without interruption. She is still listed on official royal schedules, still referred to as Her Majesty, and still seated beside the king at every major function. There has been no break in protocol, no subtle downgrade, and no soft removal from public life. Everything from her role in state visits to her name on official communique confirms what the legal records do. Camilla remains Queen Consort in full standing. No hint of change, no sign of shame, no royal fallout. And while the rumors try to cast Catherine as the silent force behind a dramatic shift, her real story tells something else entirely. She's focused on her recovery, on her children, on quietly rebuilding her strength while navigating a deeply personal battle with grace and courage. There have been no dramatic ultimatums, no covert interventions, no courtroom-style confrontations inside palace walls. Instead, Catherine has doubled down on dignity, choosing presence over protest, compassion over conflict. If anything, her absence from this supposed drama speaks louder than any tabloid headline ever could. As for Prince William, he remains steadfast in his current mission, ensuring the stability of the monarchy for the future. He's attending engagements, shaping the modern face of the crown, and preparing for the day when he will, in fact, have the power people falsely assume he holds now. But that day hasn't come yet. And until it does, he is not the one pulling constitutional levers. The idea that he's already making royal declarations in secret simply doesn't align with the deliberate, slow-moving reality of royal governance. So why, then, has this false story traveled so far, so fast? Because sometimes, what a story reveals about the audience is more powerful than what it says about the subject. This tale of Camilla's fall, Catherine's tears, and William's vengeance wasn't designed to inform. It was designed to stir, to validate long-held emotions, to reignite loyalties and old wounds. It's not a news story, it's a modern myth. And like all myths, it gains power not from truth, but from belief. But these rumors still reflect public fascination with royal dynamics. Beyond palace gossip, what does this say about modern media and royal fascination? At the heart of it all lies a truth we often ignore. We, the audience, are part of the machine. We don't just consume royal stories, we help shape them. Every click, every comment, Every view adds fuel to a narrative that may have nothing to do with reality. Our appetite for stories of power, betrayal, and redemption isn't new, it's ancient. But in today's world, the monarchy serves as a uniquely seductive canvas for those themes. The royals are real people, yes, but they've also become living symbols of drama, duty, and dysfunction, making them irresistible subjects for a culture addicted to spectacle. We don't just want updates, we want meaning. We want heroes and villains. We want the quiet, elegant Catherine standing tall in the face of adversity. We want Camilla punished for past wounds. We want William to act on the legacy of Diana. These aren't facts we're asking for, they're feelings we're projecting. And content creators, some careful, many reckless, know exactly how to deliver that emotional fix. They lean into that desire. They stretch a whisper into a war. A glance becomes a breakdown. A scheduling change becomes a scandal. It's not journalism, it's engineered emotion. And in that emotional manipulation lies a darker risk. Misinformation today doesn't need to come from bots or malicious foreign agents. It often comes from everyday influencers who simply know how to spin a compelling tale. They may not intend harm, but their stories, repeated enough times, can rewrite perceptions. Suddenly, reputations are altered, truths are obscured, and public opinion, once shaped by careful reporting, is now at the mercy of viral algorithms. The damage is subtle but corrosive, and it spreads fast. This isn't just a royal problem. The same formula applies to politics, celebrity, even science. The emotional angle sells. Outrage travels further than accuracy. Nuance gets buried beneath volume. And if we don't step back and recognize this pattern, we become complicit in the distortion. We become part of the audience cheering on a drama that never really happened, while the truth quietly fades into the background. But all is not lost. Understanding the psychology behind these viral narratives is the first step in disarming them. We can choose what we click. We can ask who benefits from the story being told. We can pause and consider whether we're reacting to truth or just a really well-constructed illusion. And most importantly, we can hold creators to a higher standard, rewarding depth over drama and truth over titillation. Royal rumors can be thrilling, but today we saw how truth holds the power. Thanks for watching, stay curious, stay kind, and see you next time for a Royal Deep Dive.